Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. So, what I want to do with the NBA season now approaching us this week is I want to go over my final preseason NBA predictions for this upcoming season. So, let's get started. So, in the East, I have Milwaukee as a one seed with a 58-24 overall record. I feel like while they lose some key pieces like Brian Forbes and PJ Tucker and all that, I feel like um, they have enough pieces there. Plus, if Giannis and Middleton continue to elevate their game, that they're going to be just fine in the regular season. Um, Second, I have Brooklyn at 55-27. The reason why I have Brooklyn second instead of first is because I assume there's going to be injuries along the way, or just resting along the way, to where KD will sit out, or Harden will sit out, or a key bench player will sit out, or something like that, and it'll kind of take them a while to kind of get used to not playing with Kyrie Irving, at least for the very beginning. So take all that to kind of take all that to account. Plus, they're still a bad defensive team, so to take that all to account, that's why I have them second there. Third, I have Miami, 50-32 overall. I do feel like it'll be a slow start for them because they got to get used to the new acquisitions of Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris, and all that. But I feel like over time they'll get in the groove for the second half of the season. And if Tyler Hero plays well, because he was playing well in the preseason, if he continues to do that, then Miami will be pretty good. Um, Fourth is Philly at 49-33, so just one game behind. I feel like even if Ben Simmons sits out half the year or most of the year, or whatever the case may be, I feel like Philly has enough there, assuming Embiid stays healthy, to where they can be in a top 4 or 5 type of team and get a playoff spot. Fifth, I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm going to have them remain as a fifth seed once again, with the game under 48-34. Um, they bring basically everyone back to run it over, and I could expect to continue to see elevated play, from players like John Collins, who got the big contract, and even Trae Young himself and stuff like that. And now with a full season under the belt from Nick McMillan as the full-time head coach, I feel like it'll pay dividends for them getting a higher seed. Six, I'm going to go Chicago, game behind that, so pretty much close within these next four teams here, 47-35. I feel like with adding DeRozan, adding Ball, already having Vucevic and Levine there, and other adding Alex Caruso, I feel like Chicago's just going to be too good to miss the playoffs now because they got to gel together, because they don't have a lot of um, playoff experience. So I feel like they'll come back to bite them later on. And for some reason, Vegas doesn't like them. Only has them at a 500 type of record. But I feel like it wouldn't surprise me to see them in the play game. But I feel like they can beat the 6 seed and avoid that. Seven, I'm going to go with New York. I feel like they're not going to do as well as they did last year, despite having Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier added to the roster. Because I feel like teams are going to kind of figure them out and all that, and there's pretty easy ways to defend them. So I feel like New York may start off interesting, but as we know, as the season wanes on, New York kind of declines, and we'll kind of see how that goes. I mean, they could avoid a playing game like they did last year, but I feel like they'll have to be in the playing game this time around. And then for the eighth seed, I got Charlotte at the same record, 43-39. This is all dependent on if the players are healthy, because with the addition of Kelly Oubre Jr., Ish Smith, Terry Rozier getting that extension, adding Mason Plumlee as a backup center, having a good draft. Uh, If LaMelo Ball continues to improve, which I expect them to, and if Gordon Hayward can stay healthy, the Charlotte should be a top 8 team in the East, because they were a top 4 team in the East last year, back when Gordon Hayward was healthy. And their roster has upgraded now compared to what it was last year. So again, it's a bunch of ifs there, but I feel like Charlotte can make it. 9, I got Boston, 42-40, game behind. Again, Tatum and Brown are going to win you games, but I don't trust their bench, and they got a new rookie coach and all that, so it's going to take time to kind of develop that. 10, you got Indiana, 41-41. Again, they're going to be a good offense team, especially for Carl under their experienced head coach, but I feel like they're still going to have defensive issues. So then you got 11, Washington at 33-49. I know the Bradley Beal's there, but he'll miss some games because he's not vaccinated. So whenever they have to go on the road to LA or San Francisco, New York, whatever, they're going to lose those type of games. But also, I feel like Beal by himself can't carry a Wizards. We saw last year when Russell Westbrook was kind of either getting used to, the franchise for being out in general, that the Wizards were bad. And it didn't take till that second half of Russell Westbrook dominated way Wizards were finally able to get themselves in a playoff position. 12, I got Toronto, 29-53. I don't know how long Pascal Siakam's going to be there. It's going to be a full season, same with Goran Dragic. Yeah, Freddie Lee's nice, but like there's just not a lot of good players there. And to kind of get yourself back into playoff contention. 13, I got Detroit, 21-61. 14, got Orlando, 19-63. And Cleveland's last with 15-67 record. All those are rebuilds. Even though there's something to like about each of the rebuilds, all of them are rebuilds. Now for the West. So for my first seed, I got Utah with the 59-23 record, with the best record in the NBA. I feel like with the free agent acquisitions they made, with getting Hassan Whiteside back and Rudy Gobert, getting Rudy Gay, although B will be out for some of the season, will be back in time for the second half. And then trading for Eric Pascal and having a very good draft pick. They can go 10 deep this time. I feel like they'll be once again a good team there. Well, they'll be kind of too hard to stop, like they were last year. As long as health is a main factor, because they were very unhealthy throughout the regular season, and yet still able to get the 1 seed. So it just shows you how talented they are. 2, I'm going to go with LA Lakers. Now, this is going to be a rough start for them. We've already seen the preseason. This is going to be a very slow start for them because Russell Westbrook has to adjust, LeBron has to adjust. But as we know, they will adjust. So while I feel like the first half of the season will be bumpy for them, and we'll have questions about whether it'll work or not, I feel like by the end of the season, the Lakers should be just fine. 3, I got Phoenix, 54-28, so a game behind them. I feel like because they had to play late, I do feel like I wonder if that'll play into a factor. I thought about this in Milwaukee as well, playing the latest, because we typically see that when you're a team that plays the latest, you typically, for some reason, have health problems, whether it's not getting enough rest, whether it's injuries that randomly happen. I feel like Phoenix still can be a good team, but I could see something like that potentially happening to where that can cost them from getting like a 1 seed. Next, I got Dallas with the 50-32 over record. I like what I've seen for them in the preseason. KP looks like a different player, which is good. He looks like a better player, like the Knicks version of the player. And if Tim Hardaway continues to excel and Kid taps into Luka's best potential, and the way Kid plays defense, which Dallas desperately needed, I feel like Dallas can get the 4 seed there. And then 5th, I got Denver. The only reason why I have them 5th is because Jamal Murray will be out for at least half the year, not 2/3 of the year. So I feel like that will cost him. 6, I got the Clippers. So despite not having Kawhi Leonard for most of the season there, I feel like they have enough pieces and a good head coach and Tyronn Lue there to kind of get themselves to a good enough record to avoid him playing a spot. That's assuming Reggie Jackson plays like playoff Jackson. That's assuming Paul George plays like he did in the playoffs type of thing, because his team is still very deep. 7, I got Golden State, 44-38. I feel like Golden State will once again be kind of so-so, but then once Klay Thompson comes back and Klay Thompson starts to feel a rhythm, I feel like that can kind of propel them to get to that 7th seed there. And then 8, I got Portland, 43-39 overall. I feel like because of them not making good enough moves in free agency and in the draft, and because, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum has to get used to Chauncey Billups, a new system, all that. I feel like that's why they'll kind of take a step back from last year. And then 9th, I'm going to go Memphis, 41-41. Now, I would have bumped them up a seed or two, but because Dylan Brooks is going to be off the first couple weeks of the season, and again, they have some new pieces to incorporate there, I feel like that's why they're just going to be 500. And then for 10th seed, I'm going to have Sacramento, 35-47. I feel like with the good draft that they had, and the younger players continuing to develop more reps and get better, I feel like this should be finally their time to kind of get to the playing games. And then 11, Minnesota, with the game behind, 34-48. Because you can go Sacramento or Minnesota here, because they both have some talented players there. But I'm just going to go ahead and go with Sacramento, because I know I'm getting with Luke Walton, the head coach there. And I feel like Sacramento is just due for that time. 12, I got San Antonio, 32-50. Again, I don't like what they did in the draft. Don't like what they did in free agency. So losing, Aldridge, DeRozan, all that, your 2 best players. So I feel like it's going to be full on rebuild there. 13, New Orleans, 29-53. Now Zion will be out for the first couple weeks or month of the season. But even if he was starting out the season healthy, I don't like the depth New Orleans has. In the West, you got to have depth. So I feel like they'll miss the playoffs once again. 14, I got Houston 26-2. Again, they're rebuild, even though there's players I like. And then 15, Oklahoma City, I have them as the worst record in the league at 12-70. I can see them winning games late once teams are starting to tank or play their bench players and all that. But the start of the season, it's going to be hard for the Thunder to compete. Okay, so those are my preseason NBA projections there. So now to go over my top 5 college football takeaways for this week. My first one is that there's a lot more ranked teams that fell today. 2 Iowa lost to Purdue at home, 24-7. 11 Kentucky lost to 1 Georgia, which is understandable. 17 Arkansas lost at home to Auburn by 15. Arizona State lost to Utah 35-21. 19 BYU lost to Baylor 38-24. 20 Florida lost to LSU 49-42, which just basically parted ways with their head coach, even though Ed Orgeron will still coach the rest of the season. And then 25 Texas lost to 12 Oklahoma State. So that's a total of 7 ranked teams that lost this past week, so a lot. The next takeaway is, who's the second best team in the country? That's a good question with Iowa losing, since he's now another number 2 in the AP poll. But question, who's really the second best team? Is it Cincy? Probably not. Is it Oklahoma? Maybe with Caleb Williams now starting quarterback, maybe. Is it still Alabama? Could be, most likely. Is it either undefeated Michigan schools? Don't think so. So it's kind of hard to figure all this out. 3, can anyone stop Georgia? On any given Saturday, anything can happen. So what I would say to that answer is yes. But if Georgia's playing their A game, then I find it hard that an offense can outscore Georgia defense to get a win there. 4, who's the new dark horse playoff contender? I honestly can't give you an answer there because all the top teams have so many flaws. And my last takeaway is I'm going to finally start to go over my current top 4 each week. And basically what I do is I'm not doing this based off projection. I'm only doing this based off what has happened so far. And basically what I take into account is top 25 wins and losses, head-to-heads, and then, any good team, good wins, bad losses type of thing. So 1's obviously Georgia, 7-0. 2, I have, surprisingly, I have Cincinnati 6-0, number 2 right now. Mainly because they're 1-0 in the top 25 category, and they have one of the better top 25 wins without any losses. So that's why I'm going to go Cincinnati for now. But they're not going to stay at 2 for long, though, because teams will start, playing hard schedules and all that. 3, Alabama, 6-1. Again, their 1 loss is a good loss because it's to a top 20 team in A&M on the road. And then obviously they have a good win with Ole Miss being a near top 10 team, which they dominated. So that's why despite the 1 loss, they're still going to be in my top 4. And then last but not least, I'm going to go Oklahoma here. Now, what's interesting about Oklahoma is they don't have any top current teams in the top 25 right now that they have wins against. But because their offense has been so dominant recently with Caleb Williams as a starter, and you just hope that the defense eventually figures it out. That's why I'm going to go Oklahoma right now. And then for my next 2, you got both Iowa, who lost to now ranked Purdue. So that's not as bad as the loss, but still kind of bad, very bad. I'd be surprised Iowa, makes it now, unless they win out. And then Penn State, again, I'm not sure what their quarterback situation right now is, Sean Clifford. But I feel like if he was healthy, he would have won that game. But because of the tiebreaker there, despite Iowa having the worst loss, that's why I go Iowa there. And then, of course, just other teams like the Michigan schools, Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, all in contention. So it'll be interesting how this kind of shakes out. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel. Tell me about me. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.